not even mean Bowers game for me.
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review. Today I'm very excited to check out Oath of the Brotherhood, The Chosen from AEG. This is for 2 to 5 players, ages 14 plus. It'll take you about an hour to play, and in Oath of the Brotherhood, you're going to be a pirate, and this is a worker placement game where you're going to put your pirates at different spots on the board. You're going to be collecting goods, you're going to be collecting resources, you're going to be collecting doubloons. But this game is very different because everyone's going to have their own asymmetrical abilities, and the goods that you have, depending on where you store your goods, are going to give you persistent special abilities that you'll be able to use on your turn during the round until you spend them, at which point you lose them. It has some really stinking interesting ideas in this game, but do they come together to work well? Let's open it up, and I'll tell you what I think. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Oath of the Brotherhood, The Chosen. So first and foremost, we have our handy-dandy rule booklet. It's 11 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples, and it is crap. It is absolute horse crap. It's terrible. It's inexcusable. It makes me physically angry, and the first time we played this game, we almost wrote off this game because of how bad these rules combined with some of the cards are and how things are worded. This game is reprinted from a different company, and they brought this over to America. The rules should not be this terrible. It's inexcusable, and I'm done hammering on it until we get to the pros and cons. But let's talk about the game itself, which is actually a great game. Spoiler alert. So, Oath of the Brotherhood is a very simple, at its core, worker placement game where you're going to be going to various different spots on the island. You're going to be accumulating doubloons and these little tokens. You're going to be putting these tokens on your little player board right here, which you'll be able to use to complete missions, but also they will give you persistent special abilities. Lots of cool stuff going on in this game if you can get past that godforsaken rule booklet. But let's focus. Let's focus on the game itself. We're not going to get too spiteful about how bad this stupid rule booklet is. So, Oath of the Brotherhood, let's go over the components. Let's get into the gameplay. So, component-wise, everybody's going to be getting these tokens right here. These are where you're going to place your workers in order to do various different things on the island. You'll notice that 1 is a giant pirate and 2 are mustaches. And you say, what's the difference between the pirates and the mustaches? And then you'll read the entire rule booklet. And you'll see no difference whatsoever until you get to the very last page, when you'll find out, oh, if you have certain special abilities, then the pirate will do some various different cool things. But before then, you'll be like, I don't know what it does. Stop asking me. I don't know what the pirate does different. Stop asking me. I don't know what the pirate does. Stop asking me. Yes, I know from personal experience. But let's go over the other components of the game. So you got the board, you got various different spots where you'll be able to go. You'll be able to go to the black market, which you'll be able to purchase cards, which will give you various different goods. Some will also give you items that will let you do some really cool things, which is another thing that really ticks me off about this game, because it says anytime during your turn, which would imply that you could take this action numerous times during a round. But some of these are completely broken if that is the case, and the rules don't specify whether or not they actually mean turn, or whether or not they actually mean round, and through different cards in the game, it's worded slightly different, so you're not quite sure if it's the turn, if it's the round. I tell you, this is a great game, but if it's during every single turn, then this is a terrible game, because some of these would be grossly overpowered. But, continuing, that's the black market. It also has like a sliding thing where it'll slide down and things will progressively get cheaper, they'll disappear. Over here we have a spot where you'll be able to get yourself a recruit, a worker, and he'll do some various different cool things for you. So this will allow you, when you go to a certain spot and place your worker there, to get an extra special ability that you and only you have. And as you can see, there's a really good variety of these cards, and they're really cool stinking cards. It's a very viable option to go to this spot, go to the tavern, and pick up a person, and only one person can do it per turn. Next over here we have the beach, which is going to get you these action cards, and these action cards will do a variety of different things. They'll help you, they'll hurt other people, and they're really cool cards, really enjoyable cards. Over here, we have the inn, which will give you more toughness. You're going to keep track of your toughness on your player board right here. We'll talk about this player board a little bit later, because as you can see, oh my god, there's so much on the player board. But what you need to know about the toughness track is it goes up to 5, and you need toughness in order to go to various different spots. So let's say, for instance, someone else was already at the beach, and I wanted to go to the beach. Well, I would have to spend 1 toughness to go to the beach, even though I'm on a different spot. So the toughness is going to help you do that. The inn will allow you to gain +2 toughness, pretty self-explanatory. This is the only spot in the game where if you go to the other spot, you don't lose toughness because that would be kind of cheap. Over on the docks, you're going to get one of the 3 resources, and there's 3 kinds of resources: equipment, allies, and supplies. And they are right here. But there's more to the meets the eye to those supplies, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Bridge, just going to give you money, a couple doubloons. Watchtower will let you take the first player token, and it will also introduce a new area, which will introduce a new spot that you can go. Think Lords of Waterdeep, where throughout the game, more spots are going to be coming on the board that will let you do various different actions. Pretty cool. Up here we have the Brotherhood, and this is where you're going to be able to gain missions and also complete missions. You can do both when you go to a spot. The missions will look like this. So for instance, you'll need 3 barrels, 4 coins, and if you do that, you'll gain 5 victory points. Some will also let you gain various other different things. And the missions are pretty self-explanatory for the most part. There is flavor text on the bottom though, and that's another big con that I have with this game. Most of the flavor text in this game means absolutely nothing, but some of the flavor text actually matters. Let me see if I can find an example. When you complete this mission, add 1 mission card from the discard pile to your hand. Oh, that's a good piece of flavor text to know that I get to do that. But this piece of flavor text, from time to time, all pirates supply the black market with various good. Or this flavor text, all necessary transactions must be done after midnight, away from indiscreet eyes. So there's flavor text down here, which means absolutely nothing, but then there's also flavor text down here that you need to pay attention to. No! God! No! No! Okay, save it for the pros and cons. Save it for the pros and cons. Okay. So, yes, that's the mission spot. Over here we have the blacksmith and the bazaar. Those will allow you to get more of these tokens, which, as I mentioned, you will need to complete missions. So those are the various different spots you'll be able to go to on the board. Now let's talk about your player board, because your player board in this game is really stinking cool. So first, everybody's going to have their own unique character over here, their own asymmetrical abilities, so every single character is slightly different. Up here we already talked about the toughness track. Everyone will start on 3 except for 1 special character. Now let's talk about how the supplies work in this game. So if you played a typical worker placement game, you might get stone, or you might get purple cubes or green cubes, and you'll just put them there and they won't do anything. However, with this game, when you acquire goods, you actually place them on one of these spots. So if I were to acquire one of these barrels, one of these supplies, in addition to helping me complete missions later on, I get to put it on one of these 4 spots on the supply spot, and it will gain me a persistent special ability that I will be able to use. This is an incredibly cool mechanism. Now, the problem with this is, as you can see, it's really difficult to understand what everything does without going to the back of the rule booklet and reading through what all 12 of them do. I'm not going to go over what each one does, but some of them are really cool. Some of them will let you steal, some of them will let you knock people out of place or give you special abilities or give you extra goods. They do lots of really cool stuff, but you're going to have to know what they do before you can really get a firm grasp of the game. But when you get goods, you'll put them on here and they will unlock special abilities until you spend them, at which point you lose that persistent special ability. So let's go over what exactly you're going to be doing on a round, because your rounds, the gameplay itself, is actually very straightforward. So first thing you're going to do, you do your phase 1, you're going to replenish the board, you're going to scrape something off the black market, move it over, advance the round marker here, and as you can see, you'll be playing up to 10 rounds. You'll get rid of the tavern card, flip over a new tavern card. And then you get to what is the action phase. And this is very straightforward worker placement. You're going to take turns, and you are going to put your spot on various different things, and you're going to collect the goods. So there, I collected 2 doubloons. Good for me. Over here, I get myself an action card. So on and so forth. And you'll do that until everyone has played their workers, at which point you will end the round, and then you will advance the round tracker, replenish the black market, get the new tavern card if you need one, rinse, wash, and repeat. You're going to do that 10 times. So at its core, it's an incredibly straightforward game. At the end of the game, whoever has the most points on the tracker around the outside is going to be the winner of the game. That, in a nutshell, is how you're going to play Oath of the Brotherhood, The Chosen. Alright then, Oath of the Brotherhood from AEG. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, holy crap, the rule booklet is not good. It's not a good rule booklet. It needs an FAQ. It needs like 2 more pages to clearly explain how everything works. It needs a sentence here and a sentence there and a sentence here and a sentence there and a sentence here and a sentence there to reassure you that it will tell you about something later on in the rule booklet. Because, oh, God, just Oh, this game is so frustrating because I'm going to tell you in the pros that this is not a good game. This is a great game with some really stinking cool ideas, and I really enjoyed this game after I played it the first time. But that first gameplay, and I think this is going to be a problem that a lot of people have, is going to be rough. It's going to be long, it's going to be confusing, it's going to be frustrating because the rules are crap, there's no player aid cards, and for the love of God, don't have flavor text on one spot on a card, and then on the next card have useful information that you need to read, because you know what? Once someone reads one piece of flavor text and says, oh, this is just garbage flavor text on the bottom, they're not going to read the flavor text again on those cards. So you can't do that. You can't put valuable information on the bottom of this card and then flavor text on the bottom of this card. Because, that's graphic design / game design 101. Also, the rules are not clear and the cards are not clear about turn versus round. And this is a big deal. There's like a card that will say, every single turn, you gain +2 strength. And if that's the case, then that's broken. I'm assuming what they mean is every round, but then some cards will say something different, and you'll be like, yeah, that makes more sense, but this card... Just the usage of turn versus round needs to be very clearly specified in the rules / on the cards, and they are not. And we literally, the first time before I explained the rules, the second and third time, argued about whether or not it meant every single turn, every single time I had a turn, or every single round. And it was like divisive. Like half the table was like, oh, I'm pretty sure it's like this. And then the other half was like, no, it can't be like that because that would be stinking broken. Look at this card right here. That would be a broken card. And then the other half was like, yeah, that would be a broken card. And how do you reprint a game and this happens? How? You brought it over, you played it, you were like, this is a fantastic game. And then you're like, you know what, we're just going to leave these crap rules and these crap words and this crap graphic design in the game. And that's inexcusable. And I'm torn on how to review this game. But let's focus on the cons. Any other cons that I have with the game? It's worker placement. If you don't like worker placement, this is very pure and simple worker placement. It has a lot of really cool and different ideas, but it still is worker placement. If you're not a worker placement fan, it will not be for you. I like it best the higher player counts. With that being said, I still thought it was a good game at 2 players. So let's move on to the pros. I have hammered this game hard enough on the cons. Moving on to the pros, this is a really great game. I see why AEG reprinted this game. It has really cool concepts. It's really clean once you know what you're doing. This is one of those games that once you get past that first game, people really enjoy this game. So what do I like about this game? First, asymmetrical special abilities right from the jump. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. Next, oh my gosh, that is super cool. When you collect goods, it's not just like, oh, I collected these 2 barrels, I'm just going to store them. No, you really need to think about where you're going to put those barrels because where you put them are going to unlock you more special abilities. So everybody's pirates are going to be slightly different from turn to turn to turn depending on where they put their goods. And sometimes you'll be like, you know what, I don't ever want to spend this good because I just want to have this persistent special ability the whole game. And that's a perfectly viable strategy. And I also like the fact that there's new locations. So every time you get that first player marker, there's going to be a new location that pops out. So there's going to be more stuff. There's different mission cards. And I like how the mission cards work. I love how the tavern works. So you will have different characters that will grant you special abilities when you go to different spots. That's a really cool concept. I like the black market, especially the items in the black market. You know, most of the black market stuff's pretty self-explanatory. You get goods. But those items that are in the black market, those are really interesting and they add to the zest of the game. Now, let's rewind and go back to the cons, because another con that I have in this game is, oh my god, it's a straightforward worker placement, but there's so much to explain. In your typical worker placement, you say, oh, the bazaar does this, the blacksmith does this, the docks does this, the black market does this. You just go over the different spots and what they do. But not in this game, because then you have to go 12 different... You need to completely explain all 12 of the different spots on the board, which makes it really hard to take in when you're playing for the first time, because you have to remember what all the different spots on the board do, but then you also have 12 other spots where you store your good and what they do, and it just can be a little bit of an overload, especially for people who have not played the game before, which is another con. But moving back on to the pros, I like the asymmetrical. I love the fact that the goods on different spots do different things. I like the theme of the game. I think the theme is decent enough. I like the artwork. And the box insert's good. The components are good. And in the end, this is a hard game to review because it's a great game. It is. It is a great game. And the second and third and fourth time you play this game, you're going to have a lot of fun with this game. There's different paths to victory. There's different strategies, and I like that an awful lot. But for God, that first game, the rules are not good. It's not clear whether or not people mean turns or rounds. The graphic design issues, the fact that you have to remember all these different things and what they all do, it just really detracts from the game. And in the end, can I recommend this game? Yes. If this is a game that you will actually get to the table on a routine basis and you will remember the rules from game to game to game to game to game, then absolutely, Oath of the Brotherhood is worth going through that first incredibly frustrating game. But if not, no. If you're going to play this game, maybe once or twice a year, I can't recommend it because you're going to have that same frustration each and every time you get out the game and you have to learn the rules again. It's not a fun game to teach to people. It's not a fun game to learn. But once you get past that, Oath of the Brotherhood is great. So, can I recommend it? It really depends on you. If you're in the market for a really awesome, with cool ideas, worker placement game that you know you're going to play pretty routinely, then yeah, check this one out. If not, no, go get Lords of Waterdeep. Go get Viticulture. Go get something else that actually has good rules, that's easier to explain, that, God, how do you do that with the graphic design? I just want to go back to that. I've already done the review, but if you're enjoying this, if you're enjoying my content, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. But in the comments below, let me know, have you ever played a game that did that had useless flavor text on one specific spot on a card, and then on another card that's the same kind of card had useful information? God, who thought that was a good idea? Who thought that was a good idea? That just annoys the living crap out of me. Let me know in the comments below if you ever played a game that also did that. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.